One.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the That Talk podcast. We have a special episode today. We have my wife in the building. We have Brandon on the sticks right now.
What's going on, guys?
The most important guy in the building. Brandon on the sticks with Wild Productions. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, brother.
90% of my content will not be possible without this guy. So if you're not tapped into Brandon at Wild Productions on Instagram, we have a special, interesting episode topic today. So we want to talk about the narrative. Is it a narrative of society right now with the quote unquote red pill? And we want to talk about it from a marital perspective. And Brandon, who's going to be involved in this too, and Brandon's married as well. So we want to kind of challenge the new age shit that's going on, I guess, and ask some questions, talk about some of the topics that are being talked about from, a male perspective, from, a marital perspective, from a female perspective. I think that we bring a little bit of like a spiritual aspect to some of it. I think that we have a little more like old school ways of thinking, but like I said, I think we bring a little bit more of a spiritual aspect to it. So what would be the first run? I mean, what should we start with?
Well, first off, sorry to cut you off, please introduce yourself.
I'm Kalaya, and I'm Nate's wife.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
So why don't we start with the relationship aspects that are being talked about right now? Because like I said, this is like the most popular thing that's going on right now. So
are we going to talk about how we're going to kind of rebuttal some things that we hear, like the popular discussions online?
That's what,
like
so
that's
so today basically so basically what we'll be doing is we're gonna take the popular ideologies or ideas right now and kind of, like I said, challenge them in a way that, from a marital perspective, from someone with experience and someone else with experience of the worlds that are being talked about, I guess you would say. So
we're starting with body count.
Actually, why don't we give a little bit of background? So as far as with you, so you were 10 years ago able to have some opportunities and do Playboy.
All right.
Right. So why don't we talk about that versus like what's going on right now and how that was different? And then I want to talk about like the things that are being talked about that are actually important to men, or the things that are being talked about that aren't as important to men. But I think that's where you get this like fight between toxicity and like truly quote unquote masculine or truly quote unquote a high value man. And we can get into that as well.
Yeah. So let's start. Okay. So background with me. So I didn't do Playboy.
Okay.
I had opportunities to start the endeavor. However, it went against my morals and it went against what I believed in. So I ended up not doing it. Which, I mean, there's negatives and there's drawbacks and there's positives to everything, right? Every situation. So being true to yourself is the most important. However, like my life could have looked very different. So, it's just what people value, right? Or what their morals are personally. And that's different for everybody. So that, I can say, like, I can hold my head high because I stay true to myself. But I don't feel like somebody doing Playboy is necessarily wrong at all. Just depends on her personal values.
So actually, before we get into what we're going to discuss, let's just make that a segue into a couple of things. So let's talk about a woman displaying her body, as far as like as in a relationship of her past, because that's what people are talking about. Does a woman's past matter? A lot of the ideas are a woman's past matters and a man's future matters is what's important. So and also too, we could talk about a value of a woman. So one of the things that attracted, I would say, to you most for me and why I wanted to be with you and why I was so attracted to you was that right there. Like what you just explained was that, like, you showed me the pictures, like, you're in Mexico on a yacht and all this type of shit, and went to so-and-so's house and, someone's trying to sleep with you and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, this is not for me. And someone who will not be named, you came home to a deadbeat. and something. And, you know, I'll never forget, you know, seeing you have some like rough times in that relationship that you were in, being very emotional, and me seeing that in, you know, at work, because we worked together and that's how we met. But then you bringing him into the restaurant, looking bad as fuck, but then still hanging on to this guy like, this is my man. Like, I was like, wow, like that was it for me. Right. Like, you telling me that story of how, again, you had all these opportunities. Obviously, I know what that looks like. I know what the whole sugar baby thing looks like. I know that you could have had this, you could have had that, you could have got school paid for, you could have got cars, you could have got houses, you could have got whatever, right? Yeah. And all you have to do is sleep with somebody. Right. And you telling me that you withdrew from that to be in a relationship, and then you being with someone that wasn't the best partner. Yeah. But you still like being honored to be with this dude. I'm like, yo, that's me. I need that. And I think often they do this like surface level explanation with these podcasts because it gets views, right? Yeah. It's like, let me say this short, very punchy answer so I can get a view. But I don't think we talk about why men value loyalty. And I think,
well, you can be loyal to a fault though. You know, and I was loyal to a fault. I wanted something so bad that I was like trying to mold it and create it myself. Totally. Out of the wrong person or the wrong people, you know. I haven't had many relationships, but the 3 that I did have, I was definitely trying to force a puzzle piece that didn't fit.
Unfortunately, a man values that.
Yeah, no, I think
that you're loyal to a fault. Because listen, and the reason I want to say is because we know that we're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And we want to make sure that when we make a mistake, that you're still going to be there. So that's why the loyalty is so attractive. Not because like this idea of like, oh, I'm going to fuck, you know, whatever. It depends on the
mistake. You know,
I understand.
Love is unconditional always. Love remains the same, but relationships have conditions.
I agree.
Yeah, so you can be in love with somebody and not necessarily have a relationship work.
I agree.
Yeah, love remains the same. But I had to learn that the hard way. But yeah, relationships takes values, takes standards, and takes conditions for sure for it to work and for each party to feel like their best interests are being met. So it depends on the mistake.
Okay. But like I said, I think the thing that's not being explained is the wiring with a man is the loyalty is wanted from being able to make a mistake. And again, it depends on the mistake, obviously, like you said.
Just wanting somebody to stick by you.
I personally think if you value a relationship and you value a woman, you don't think of it like it's being portrayed. Yeah. They portray it as, I want a woman that's loyal so I can go out and fuck whoever I want to. For me, it's not that at all. It's that I want to be able to, hey, I made a mistake, right? Hey, I lost money. Hey, I got fired. Hey, I got this. Hey, I got that. Hey, I can't pay the bills. Hey, I can't pay the rent. Like, that's loyalty to me. Like, hey, we put it all out on the line and we have nothing. That's loyalty to me. That's what a man's looking for. I think a simple fucking man is looking for a woman that is quote unquote loyal just so he can fuck other girls. I think that's fucking simple and very, very low value.
I don't think a man should try to get with a woman like on a point of marriage, like on that level, until he isn't looking for something but wants to provide and wants to give to somebody. I think that's like more of a masculine trait. And a lot of men, they're looking for women that they can like go 50-50 with, or that they can take from, or that they can, what are they going to give to me? And I'm not saying that women don't provide anything in a relationship, but I'm trying to say that I don't think a man should be looking for marriage until he's at the point in his own journey where he's like, my cup's pouring over. Yep. I want to pour into somebody else's, and I want to, because a man can either build, like what you've said, or he can break down, and he can do that.
His power is too great to be muted, masked, or medicated.
And he can do that with women very easily can easily break down. And that's the whole thing, right? So like if we get into like if we just jump right into it, like men want the role and they want the title of leader, but they don't want the responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility,
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
So Spider-Man. So, you know, I feel like
To whom much is given, much will be required.
right. Yeah. So, but I feel like
Easy.
yeah. So I feel like a lot of guys want certain things they want, you know, but you know, at the end of the day, they want to be respected. They want a girl who respects them. They want to be treated like the leader, but they're not ready to lead.
I think
They're not ready to take on that, you know, maybe they are ready, but they're not doing it is the problem.
Yeah. No, I that's a tough that's a tough scenario to talk about. It's very there is a sense that has to happen. It took me a long time to learn this. I was very toxic in my youth. I was very whimsical and very and it's weird because there's this idea that a guy that you know looks good, has a you know quote unquote put together and has a bunch of females, that he's masculine, and I now disagree, and I think that's a very feminine thing to just be sleeping with whoever and doing whatever and letting this person drain your energy and going here and going there. And it's like that and this is where I'll disagree with the whole multiple women thing, and we could talk about that, the multiple girlfriends, the multiple wives, the multiple this and the multiple that. Is I think this is what I preach, and this is a part of my message, is that part of the essence of a man is commitment.
Yeah.
So how committed and people, and that's what I also don't understand, is like you can't just be some thing in one part of your life, like
So,
I'm
let's
committed to the grind, I'm committed to this, I'm committed to that. You either are a committed person or you're not.
yeah. So let's test the narrative, right? So like what I like Andrew Tate. I agree with a lot of things
So
he
do I.
says. I think his delivery is poor.
I think
and-
the delivery is based on the views.
right. So, but right, because it triggers people, so it gets people to watch it. I agree, but I agree with a lot that he actually says. But I do test. I think it would be good to test what you just brought up, like masculine, like sleeping with a bunch of women and like how that looks. Like I feel like from what I've studied and like what I've gathered, masculine energy. So a lot of these guys out here who people, sorry, let me gather my thoughts really quick. So a lot of guys say top 1%.
Yeah.
Right? The guys at the top 1%. Why would this guy want you at the top 1%? That's a high valued man is what they call it.
Yeah.
My definition of a high value man is different than a guy driving a Lambo, getting out with his rollie on and hair slicked back, you know, fucking just got
Is she talking about my hair?
Just got a
right now?
pedicure.
Let me see my hair real quick. Hey, whoa.
And not to, you know, not to say like you can't have those things, but a lot of those guys can be in their feminine energy. That doesn't mean they're masculine just because they're wealthy or just because they're rich. And you know, a masculine man, like what you were saying,
yeah, I want to get into that too.
Masculine, yeah. So like my definition of a high value man is a man who can't be bought and who isn't a sellout. And he might not be a millionaire because he's not a sellout. And just like a lot of these girls out here, you know, with OnlyFans, and guys are saying that they're sellouts because they're showing their bodies or whatever. A lot of guys are sellouts too, and they made their wealth in non-moral ways. Yeah. And you know, so yeah.
So let's talk about the wiring real quick. The reason the money is so important, right, to a woman, and let's just keep it a stack. The money's important, and I will say, as a man, the money's important too. And I think it's for different things. With a woman, back in the days of the hunters and gatherers, right? Who were the baddest dudes? The dudes that had the most food or the best food, the cleanest water, and the best shelter. Okay. In this day and age, what does money give you? The best food, the cleanest water, quote unquote, the best shelter. Okay. Women flocked to that man because that was survival. The brain is still wired that way.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of like these fresh and fit guys and people like
Oh,
towards Andrew Tate.
She's gonna name drop.
No, I don't know their names, but I'm just saying like they think that that's a high value man, but I'm saying like
Exactly. So hang on, let me finish real quick.
But hold on, like
Okay.
girls aren't attracted. So I would say all women. I'm just gonna say this for all women are. You take the guy from the movie who has the money, who has the stuff, but he's more in his feminine, right? And then you take the guy who maybe doesn't have as much money,
Not always.
and he's cutting the wood, and he's doing the shit, and he's like actually he's a committed, disciplined man.
The Notebook.
Right. They're gonna be more. They might go towards that guy with money, but they're gonna be more attracted to the other guy.
Which is again, because of the way that the survival instincts are wired.
But at the end of the day, if that guy loses all of his money, they're not going to stand by him. They're going to stand by the man who's more in his masculine energy every time, whether he's poor or rich. But a masculine energy is a very safe energy. So like whether you're broke or not, it's still a very secure place for a woman to be. Because she knows that he's got it. Like a masculine energy, true masculine energy is a man with purpose, a man with mission. He can't, like I said, he can't be bought. He can't be sold out. He's not driven by pussy, by money, by all this shit. Like he can't be bought by that, right? Like a man who has a mission is more, like I like to think of masculine energy as a river. Like it's going somewhere. Feminine energy is like an ocean. You know, men have tunnel vision. And to be fucking a bunch of different girls isn't tunnel vision.
Yeah. So one thing I will say though is generally it takes tunnel vision to make money. I mean, yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah, so I think, but like you're agreeing with
it.
The sense of what I was saying, that you can't be just one way.
But I think it takes a lot of strength for a masculine man to tell somebody fuck off if it doesn't align with their morals.
That's where I was gonna go with it.
Because if they're throwing millions in your face, a lot of guys are gonna fold.
Yeah,
and I think that's the sexiest thing about a true masculine man is to a woman is like, my man can't be bought.
Yeah.
My man can't. He's not a slave.
Yeah.
That's fucking sexier than anything. And it's because
you can't take my man to the strip club and he's not gonna take a girl home.
Well, yeah, like that's sexy knowing that he has that capability. Like he's not driven by that. That's fucking sexy, because whether we all like to admit it or not, like we're all in a spiritual war. So we want fucking warriors.
Yeah. I think a couple things here. I want to talk.
Can I say one other thing before?
Yes.
So, and that's the other thing about pussy is that it's fucking everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So,
it's a black hole.
Yeah. So is
money. Money's a black hole.
So if a guy's with you just because of your looks and just because of pussy, and Brandon kind of said this earlier, you know, like the attractiveness of a girl if she's younger, you know, like does she get less attractive when she's older? And I think a guy in his masculine energy doesn't think like that, because there's always going to be, I mean, girls right now in their 20s, like you're going to be 30 one day. You're going to be 50 one day. Yeah. Like there's always going to be new 20-year-old girls.
It's like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps like.
Yeah. There's always going to be new pussy. There's always going to be somebody, no matter how fucking pretty you are, no matter how good your pussy is, there's always going to be better.
Yep.
There's always going to be fucking better, because there's new babies being born every day. So it's like, you know, there's new 20-year-olds, there's new age. Yeah. So it's a black hole. So to me, I don't find that masculine at all. And I don't think that a woman's worth is only when she's young. I get what they're saying. Like,
but there's not enough explanation. I feel like it's just, if you're 18, a guy in the 1% wants you. And it's like, I disagree. I firmly disagree. I think the reason we live in a fleshly world. And like, so I said, I think that you and I bring a level of spirituality. Taking
care of yourself and being your highest, best self is sexy to anyone. Yeah. But that doesn't compare to like, and also if that's what a girl's offering, like I just look good. You're not going to be with him longer than 10 years.
Yeah. So let me say something. So I think like I said, there's not enough spiritual explanation, and there's not enough spirituality in the world in general. I think the reason that guys don't commit and they say, oh, I want multiple women, I want this, but I want you at home, is because they only have her for her looks. There's not like, and they don't know within their heart, she's going to be loyal. She's going to be this. If I lose it, like, you're standing on I don't even, what's the word? Like, you're standing on one leg, right? Or you're standing on something, you have a house with a shitty foundation, basically.
Yeah.
So why would I be loyal and continue into it? Because dudes would rather spend money than spend emotions, because it's harder for us. But contrary to popular belief, a guy that's got a bunch of money coming in rather just, oh, you're happy, let me buy you this, whatever, fuck it, let me buy you that, let me just stay home and do whatever. But there's no actual meaning
You're
in
talking
that
about like a guy who wants to have like a wife at home but go fuck whoever he wants.
Yes, I just think that there's no spiritual meaning to that relationship, and he doesn't fully trust her, because it's like it's a subconscious, unspoken mutual agreement. You look good, I have money, let's get it. Hang on. You look good, I have money, let's get it. But let's go back, because we skipped over the money thing. We talked about how the female brain is wired for the safety and security thing, right?
Yeah, and they think that's fabricated
exactly.
with money. Yeah, okay.
But for a man, this is what people need to understand. Money is important on both sides, and you can't get around that. The reason money is important to a man is, yes, to attract a woman, but it's also to understand that he can master his environment. And I think that's what's masculine about making money. It's not that.
Yeah, but if he folds to money, he's a fucking slave.
Exactly. So again, I want to pick apart the wiring real quick. And RIP to the person I'm about to use, because I'm sure no one has ever done this, and I'll apologize in advance. But I asked the guys in the group that I have a men's group, who do you respect more and who would you want to be more like? Rob Kardashian, who's worth 7 figures, drives a Lambo and has a 10,000 square foot house in Beverly Hills, or David Goggins?
Yeah.
David Goggins every time. Why? You believe that the money is the flex, but it takes commitment. Like I said, that's part of a masculine essence. One of the most important things is commitment. It takes commitment to have money. Who displays more commitment, David Goggins or Rob Kardashian? David Goggins. But he doesn't show his house. He doesn't even have a car. Yeah. He doesn't run his own social media. He's not even on it. There's nothing about him that is involved in this material world. But in
has
some
warrior-like mentality.
Exactly. But he gains more respect from everyone, yet he doesn't do the traditional things that shows the money, shows the girl, shows this, shows that. People respect him more. But again, I think we don't even truly understand our own wiring, and we think money this, flashy fucking whatever. But it's the commitment. It's what's behind getting the money that you're actually, as a man, that you feel that's sexy. Like, exactly. Like, dudes that follow a diet for 10 years and are shredded, and you never heard of how much money is in their bank account, people still respect them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fighters. Fighters that are dead broke. If a millionaire walks into a bar and he knows a dude is a UFC fighter, automatic respect.
I think
so
new age.
That's what men are seeking, is respect. We're not seeking all this shit that we thinking that we're respect.
1000%.
We want fucking respect,
right?
And it can come in other ways,
right? Yeah. And talk about fighters. Like, I think that it's funny. It's funny you bring that up, because like the new age is like gentle men, very gentle, very passive men.
It's a part of the narrative from the
and I think violence is a great thing, and I know that people are going to be like, what the fuck, but I think violence is a very necessary part of.
You're a very violent person, though.
Huh?
You're a very violent person. Let's just, my tooth isn't chipped from a fucking baseball, let's just say that.
Well, I believe in balance, and I think there's a place for everything. And when it comes to violence, I mean, nature is very violent.
Yeah.
Nature is very violent. I mean, you can't be weak in nature. You can't be weak.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I mean, to a point, because we have cognitive thinking. We're not animals, but but I think violence, especially in men, to be able to be portrayed in a healthy way is very necessary, and like to be able to get that out, like to suppress that is very unnatural to a man, especially. But I mean, and I don't want to just say to a man. I mean, we all have masculine and feminine energy. So to everybody who needs to get out that energy. But yeah, violence. I mean, I think I've had these conversations with people, and they're like, well, violence isn't necessary. Like, there's always other ways. And I'm like, sometimes it is necessary. And
it's a respect thing.
And people think death is, I don't know. Our culture is very weird about death. Is very weird about violence. But it's like, nobody thinks about, they're like, oh, I'm not going to ever kill anything, or I'm not ever going to eat meat, or I'm not going to ever. And I'm like, you're literally using bleach on your counters. And they're like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, you're killing a ton of different organisms.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day you're killing something.
So
you can't tell me you don't believe in violence when you're actively violently killing.
I don't, but here's the thing. Again, the whole like weak man thing, and we can, again, just talk about like the definition, quote unquote, of a high value man, right? Because that's, being talked about. Say you got a guy, right? And I just want to paint a picture for people that think like people, especially like on these podcasts where they have these super low hanging fruit women on these podcasts, and they're like, they give. The problem I think these days is that you had to have back in, even not even times of, 20, 30 years ago.
Do you think they know that they're about to be made fun of when they go on there? Like, yes. Do they know that they're...
You can't go on something and not watch it. They're just going on there to make them look fucking stupid. But
do these women understand that that's what's happening on these podcasts? Is they're literally being like made fun of and mocked? And they're just doing it willingly? With
they
a
want the
smile,
clout.
too?
They don't give a fuck. They want the clout. That's the thing.
Wild.
So what I'm saying is 2022 technology, as we're using right now, gives everyone a voice and everyone an opinion. 20, 30 years ago, you had to have some sort of body of work and to be somebody to have a fucking opinion. But now, because of the internet, everyone has a fucking opinion. That is not good, and that is not healthy, right? So you take these chicks that are fucking low hanging fruit, no fucking value, no skills, nothing to offer anyone but their looks, and you give them a fucking opinion about a high value man, and a man takes that opinion and says, all I have to do is be in the top 1%.
Hold on.
And I'll do anything to do it. So say you have a guy that's number 5 at Facebook, right? Okay.
Number 5 at Facebook.
He's 5th up in the ranks at Facebook, and he's making $750,000 a year, $750,000 a year.
Right.
But in order to keep his money, he has to do something that he doesn't want to do. And I won't say it. He has to take an injection that he doesn't want to take, that he doesn't believe in.
You're giving a fake scenario.
I'm giving a fake scenario.
Belief of a fake man.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he takes the injection anyways, because if he doesn't, he's gonna lose his bread. Is he a high value man?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. The money is not the answer. We think that the money is the answer. If you get in trouble with your homeboy, and you walk in an interrogation room, and the cop says, "Hey, your boy folded. You're gonna do 10 years if you don't tell us what happened." And you immediately start talking, but you're in the 1%. Are you a high value man?
No, that's what I'm saying.
So it's not all about money. But what I'm saying is these platforms give these low hanging fruit. Women hold the keys.
Money can come with it. Money, like
totally.
money,
Totally.
That's dope. But no, as far as like our society goes and people being sellouts and everything, and like let's talk about high value man is also a dangerous man.
Agreed.
So like that's the whole violent thing. Like girls, like we talked about before, girls end up in abusive relationships sometimes because they find these men who are fighters attractive, even though they have, even if they're the ones getting hit, because they think, oh, he's going to protect me.
Exactly.
But a dangerous man is very attractive because we want to be protected, and we want to obviously not to be the ones getting hit. But, a dangerous man, I think, is important. But like, yeah, that all goes hand in hand with a dangerous man who actually is in a very masculine role and who actually is like a healthy masculine. Because otherwise, yeah, that can be very, very dangerous. And we need fucking good men. Our society needs good men. I mean, fuck. We are a very weak community without strong men. It's very weak community.
Yeah, so what I'm
men.
trying to say about these platforms, right, is they give these women a voice. And here's the thing. Men understand that women hold the keys, okay? So
hold on, with the whole
women hold the keys.
Like
women hold the keys.
Hold on.
If a girl goes on one of these platforms or one of these podcasts and say, I want this and I want that, and oh, you got to be in this and you got to be in that, every man is going to strive for that. Because I've heard these statistics that say 80% of women are sleeping with 20% of the guys. That means there's a very small amount of guys getting pussy and getting in relationships.
I know a lot of girls that sleep with a lot of guys.
So what I'm saying
so I'm
is,
not sure.
They're all sleeping. They're all fucking the same dudes. So what I'm saying is when these chicks that are low hanging fruit go on these platforms and say something, men strive to be that because they look at her and they say, "Wow, she's so attractive. She's so this. She's so sexy.
Okay, hold on.
I want to be that."
Yeah.
And so then they'll do. Men are fucking lonely. Men are lonely because it's hard for us. It's hard for some to get the things that they want. It's hard for guys to get women.
Though, like you guys think that like keys is in women's hands.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right, but then also like you have these podcasts and you have this stuff like women want to know what men want and like
it's
why
fucking
the fuck?
easy.
Hold on.
Easy.
Why the fuck do you think that women are literally getting surgery, cutting into their fucking body, into their breasts, into their face, and like changing themselves, getting implants in their ass, implants in their breasts, fucking changing their face, Botox, lip injections, face fillers, all this wild ass shit, which, like I've told Brandon before, I'm all for decorating yourself. I'm all about preserving yourself. However, I'm not about changing yourself, right? You know, you can be your highest self without completely morphing into something different. But I mean, women are doing all this shit using face apps, using body apps on top of that, right? On top of that, but all these guys are paying for content that isn't even fucking real. It's all a facade. It's all face apps. It's all body apps. It's not even a real body. Basically living in an avatar fucking world online. So you're going to sit here and say like, oh, men, you know, men. I'm like, women are literally changing themselves to fucking meet some fucking false expectation to be attractive
it's the same,
to a fucking man so that she can win a man.
It stems from the same place. You give guys that are of no value a voice, right? Guys will go on fucking fat retards. Wow, that was rude. Guys that I personally, my definition of a high value man is a man that's committed to something higher than himself that serves humanity. Not serves himself, but serves humanity. So you have guys that are streaming, right? They sit at home, and I'm a video editor, so by no means am I being disrespectful when I say sit at home on your computer all day. But when you sit at home on your computer all fucking day and look up videos to mock people and to say these things when all you do is sit at home, lock yourself in your room and play on your computer and talk about women need this, women need that. It's like, again, the platforms, the opportunities that we have.
I mean, that's simple. That's just deflection.
The opportunities that we have
within himself, so it's easier to look.
That's what I'm saying. So the opportunities that we have today give everyone a voice. So when women hear this coming from any man, oh, I need to look young. Oh, I need to be youthful. Oh, I need to be this. I need to be that.
Girls don't give a fuck about. Listen.
Then they want to change themselves.
You think that girls care about like a six pack? You think that girls care about shit like that? Like I said, a girl is gonna be more attracted
amongst men.
I think more girls are more attracted to like huskier guys than ripped dudes. 1,000%. 1,000%. And if you give a girl a funny guy over a fucking,
I don't respect people that are out of shape.
Who are out of shape? Well, I feel like you know there's definitions for what in shape means.
So that's how we gain. It's not about girls. It's how, again, this is like, it's very confusing. The way we get women, the way we attract a woman is not to attract a woman. It's to be better than the next man. Hold on, really quick.
I definitely wasn't even attracted to you in our first year of knowing each other. So how do you explain that? Yeah, you got a fresh haircut and you had body and you had girls and you had all this. But why did I tell you to fuck off for the first year then? If that
because I was toxic. I was toxic. I had no mission. I had no commitment other than
but
to the gym.
What actually got us talking?
Spirituality, deepness, depth. Meaning.
What actually got us talking though? You read a book that I read
a book. Yeah,
that you found
that's
out
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
spirituality, meaning, deepness, depth.
Right. So I mean, like, what got my attraction?
Listen, I just said this. You are my biggest flex. You are special. You are not like other chicks. What I'm saying is that's why we do the 6-pack. It makes me look better than this guy. It's not so you'll be attracted to me. I don't disagree
with that. And you being your best version of yourself is great. But this like whole like idea of like, well, girls don't want to talk to me is kind of I don't really get it. Like I don't understand. Like I get the guys that are actually being ignored by girls or who don't, who weren't athletic in school or who didn't have. I get that they're fucking lonely, but I don't really know who you're talking about when you talk about the statistic of like men being so ignored and so lonely from girls when girls are literally giving it up with lowest fucking standards to try just to get some fucking affirmation on the fucking daily. Like I don't know. I'm not from a man.
I would argue, but here's the thing. That we'll use this other scenario that everyone uses. If 10 dudes are DMing you, 10 of them want to fuck you. If 10 girls are DMing me, one of them wants to fuck me. There's no argument.
I disagree with that.
No, there's no argument.
Why are they DMing you? Why are the girls DMing you? Like why? For what? I don't DM.
It's a hypothetical scenario.
I know. Okay, well, like let's give context to that scenario.
Were they? We could do this. We could do what they do on those other podcasts. If you called one of your friends, quote, which you don't have any, as you shouldn't. But if you if you called one of your male friends right now and be like, hey,
Brandon's one of my male friends.
Okay, someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
If Nate, hey,
because you know that's not the case.
Nate's being a piece of shit. Oh no, whatever. Do you want to come over? They would say yes.
I don't have a guy friend because
as you shouldn't.
Right, because there's a level of respect there. Yeah, so I don't know but I don't disagree with you. I don't feel like
it's harder for guys to the reason men take the loneliness so serious is because we have it embedded in us to our name continues when we recreate and we create life.
I understand, but a lot of girls that even get run through are lonely. Because they're looking for love. They're not looking for.
Of course.
But just because like a guy having a hard time getting laid, do you see what I'm trying to say though? Like,
yeah, I guess
you can have a bunch of people in your DMs.
I don't promote that.
Lonely.
I don't promote that. All I'm saying is there's a lot of things that go on that I think are toxic in these new opportunities that we have when all these opinions are being thrown out and guys are just listening. Oh, let me listen to this. Let me listen to that. Oh, now I need to do this. I need to do that. There's the foundation and the bones underneath being a man is a lot different than what people fucking think it is. What
totally.
I'm saying.
And our society does not uphold or try to even teach those standards at all. So I know a lot of men are lost, but here's the thing: a lot of women are too. So when you want to like, I don't believe in being an extremist and like this whole bash on men or bash on women. I think you need to have context of where somebody's coming from, because each story is true. Mm-hmm. You could go through something, I could go through something completely different. It doesn't make our stories. It doesn't make our stories any less true, but there is a truth still. Mm-hmm. Just because your story is true, doesn't make it the full truth. Mm-hmm. So that's something to understand. Like when you talk about these girls as low hanging fruit. And they have no standards and this and that. I don't disagree with you, but I disagree with the harshness of it. Because what you have to understand is I had an immense amount of faith that a lot of people don't have growing up. And I had a spirituality at a young age that let me hold on to myself, right? A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people learn that as they grow, right? So when you talk about this stuff and you're saying low fruit, like I could have been one of those girls if I didn't have what I had, who gave in and just said, fuck it. Like I need money. I need to feed myself. And I'm going to, I can have a better future if I do this. Like, and you need to learn some context.
I don't disagree. All I'm saying is,
but can I give you context really quick?
I think the opinion of someone should be something that's earned. Is kind of.
Can I give you context though?
I gotta give you some context real quick.
Yeah. Thank you.
Gotcha.
So if you have, so you take a young girl, right, at a young age. We're sexualized very, very young, very fucking young. I grew very quickly for my age, and I had like big boobs when I was 13, right? I was the only girl in my church who was asked not to wear a two-piece, you know, and to wear a big t-shirt because it was going to make people distracted, right? So we come from a man's world. That's what you need to understand. So a lot of these women are just trying to fucking fit in to that. And when you're sexualized at a young age, it's easy to give into that and say, okay, well, I'm going to, you know, as an act of rebellion, like the reason why I got interested in Playboy in the first place, and I chose not to do it, but I did go on trips and stuff. The thing that made me interested in it was the act of rebellion for, this is my body, and like, fuck what everybody says. You know, people have been putting me down for a long time. Like, I'm going to celebrate my body. And I think there's a healthy way of doing that and an unhealthy way of doing that. And why I chose not to do it was because celebrating my body wasn't on my own terms in Playboy. It was on these guys' terms.
Yeah, wow.
And I wasn't going to get ahead unless I fucked them, and I didn't want to fuck them. So I saw that very quickly. So my thing is you have to understand where girls are coming from. And now, you know, you talk about body count, you talk about all this shit, and there's a lot of girls out there who have been sexually abused at a young age. There's a lot of girls who've been raped. There's girls who have been, even in a relationship, have been raped, have been taken advantage of. I've been taken advantage of. I don't know very many girls in their youth who haven't been. Yeah. So, you know, so I feel like when you have a level of understanding or just like empathy towards why these women are doing it or objectifying themselves, first, there's a bigger picture than just this per individual, like, oh, you're low fruit. Like, look at, you know.
Hang on real quick. So what I'm saying with that is, as a man, right? When I say I'm, you know, I'm lonely, you know, I want to be in a relationship. I can't find, you know, no girls are talking to me. I'm getting left on red. No girls are texting me back. I can't get a date, whatever that may be. And I look at a woman who only, and this is the thing where I'm saying we lack meaning and spirituality and depth in this world. We look at a woman that looks good and we say, oh, she looks good. That's what she's saying she wants. All right, I'm gonna do it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
you don't even want that. I'm saying but, to most those men don't even want that woman. They don't even want that woman.
That's not going to fill their cup.
But she looks good.
Yeah.
And we're so fucking surface that you look at it, all these chicks on these podcasts and you go, they're all saying this.
So what I want to say to those men is, if you think a woman's out there going to save you, your dream girl is going to be your fucking nightmare, because she's going to look to you.
She's sitting right across from me.
She's going to look to you for guidance. She's going to look to you for leadership, and you can't provide that because you're trying to get into this relationship trying to fill a hole of your masculinity, and you're looking at her for that. So my advice to those men are to go out to the fucking wilderness and to get raw and real with themselves, and to dive deep into themselves and into whatever their image of God is, and to dive into that and to find their masculinity.
Did I pick the right woman? Oh my God.
And like, for real though, because if you don't do that, you're gonna hurt so many women. You're gonna hurt yourself, and you're gonna spread your seed. You're gonna impregnate somebody you don't want to fucking impregnate.
Facts.
And I mean, like, let's just if you feel like that, you're looking at this woman like she's gonna fucking save you, or like, oh, let me get like this for her. Like, let me just tell you right now, like, you need to go into the wilderness and you need to cut some fucking wood. You need to go kill. You need to go kill an animal, skin an animal. You need to go challenge yourself in some very real masculine ways, and you need to learn how to provide for yourself until your cup is running over. Like, there is no need to be looking at girls like you're gonna wife them or anything like that. Like, this is what I believe with marriage. It's the blessing and power of duality. Duality is a strong thing. If two people are focused on the same thing, that is power. That is fucking powerful. But also, if you're going against each other, you know, like, your good days are going to be great in duality. Your bad days are going to be fucking hell because it's duality. And that's the power of it. And so, you know, she's going to be there to basically emphasize what you already have. Magnify. Yeah. She is the creator of your seed. So that, you know, but like if you have no seed to give to her, quit.
Yeah.
Quit.
I wanna say, you're as much as extreme as I am. You know, you're being a little extreme as far as the whole wilderness thing. But anyways,
You need to get out there,
you
man.
could,
what
yeah,
she means
Get out
is
there, bro.
you have to fucking, the answers are within, right? And especially as a man, being a man is hard.
No, I still think you should go into the wilderness.
Whatever.
Go do the warrior cry. I still think
That's
you
fine.
should fucking.
But listen, being a man is hard. No one is arguing that being a man is not hard. But we have to, you kind of have to flip it on its head, and you have to say, this is an honor, right? How lucky, and you know, I'm gonna start preaching here, the one of one, you know, the whole thing with what we do. What a fucking honor to be able to carry the torch, right? What a fucking honor to be placed in an opportunity to change your generation for years to come, generations to come, change the narrative in your family. This whole like, oh my God, like, fuck, this is hard. Like, you know, life is hard. Yeah. I mean, there's no getting around that. That's why I always say my favorite thing in the Bible, I need to get it tatted somewhere. Where much is given, much will be required. You want a great family, it's gonna be fucking hard. You want a great marriage, it's gonna be hard. You want a lot of money, it's gonna be hard. It's fucking responsibility. It's the weight that we carry. The more weight you carry, I believe, the more masculine you can be.
The two options in masculinity are to lead, not in masculinity, in a relationship. I'm sorry. If you want respect from your woman and you want her to look at you as the leader, like that's what you have to do. And so there's so many times like where I hear men talk about, well, she needs to do this, she needs to do that. And I'm like, you know, whatever's going on in your relationship, you need to take the lead, even if it doesn't seem fair, even if it doesn't seem like, oh, this isn't fair, like she needs to do this too. And it's like, whatever you want to have change, like if you want that true empowerment and if you want that fucking title, you need to take the lead, and she will follow. Because so like like biblically with Adam and Eve, like we came from your rib, right? We're not behind you, we're not ahead of you, we're from your rib. We're part of you. And we want to be fucking led. We want to be led. And so, you know, what I would say to women out there, whatever your version of God is, don't expect to get married and be led in a relationship with your husband if you can't let God lead you. And so like that's where I would say for women to go. To be able to surrender, because I know a lot of women in this day and era, like myself, struggle with their own masculinity, and they struggle with tapping into their femininity and being led and surrendering and having that control. So because
you're saying like God can be the metaphor for you starting to do that.
But hold on, because the whole thing is I lost what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
What would you ask me?
God can be the metaphor of you starting to practice that. Is kind of what I got from that.
Yeah, you can't be led by a man if you can't be led by your version of God first. No, I don't want to say something. I would say your belief in whatever God
whatever
is.
higher power.
Yeah,
not
like something. You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, but I really like that. I think that's dope because there's this idea that, and I used to do that shit too. Like, we all do destination syndrome, right? When I get this, then I will, right? When I'm here, then I will. I feel like people do that in relationships.
Like once I get in a marriage, I'll be led.
Once I get in a marriage, I'll be led. Once for a guy, once I get in a relationship, I'll be loyal. Right?
We're in a world though where it's not safe for a woman to surrender. It's not safe for a woman to be in their femininity. It's not safe. It's not fucking safe. And that's what I mean by men taking the lead. They look at these girls, and you know, it's kind of pitiful on a masculine level because you guys are the heads, to look at these girls and go, oh, what hoes, like what a bunch of fucking whores. They're not safe. They have to take care of themselves financially. They live in a world where they're not safe and they can't depend on a man. So men need, if you want the honor and you want the title of the leaders and of the kings, it's time to fucking take a stance and be better to your women, even just women in a general, because in society, because they can't count on you. There aren't a lot of good men out there to be safe in
Mhm.
a relationship,
Mhm.
to feel like you can be in your full feminine
Mhm.
divine. And here's what I'm going to say towards women, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, because I agree that we needed to fight for rights. I agree that women needed those things. However, we swung from one thing of the pendulum
Yeah,
to the
to the
next.
other, yeah.
Because what you have to understand as a man is women used to not have a voice. Like,
Mhm.
you could have put me in a mental health facility and I would have had shock treatment if I
Mhm.
spoke out. Like, that's where women came from, right?
Mhm.
We were being sold like cattle.
Mhm.
In various countries, like, women have their clits cut off. If you show any leg or if you show any hair, like, it's allowed for a man to rape you, and it's your fault because you tempted them.
Mhm.
And a lot of this stems from biblical verses, right?
Mhm.
Like Adam and Eve. A lot of people and a lot of religions have read that verse completely wrong, and this is why you need to do your own homework and you need to read the Bible yourself and not just listen to a pastor, is because Eve did not just tempt Adam. Adam was standing right there.
Mhm.
And Adam watched her
Adam
get
watched the
deceived.
serpent,
Yeah.
deceive her.
And she was the one who was deceived.
Mhm.
And God gave the demand or the command
To
to
Adam.
not, yes, to Adam, not to Eve. And before he even created Eve.
Mhm.
So whether Eve was even aware of the command or not, I'm sure she was to some degree. However, she was the one who was deceived, and
Mhm.
she was the one, and Adam was the one who needed to step in,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But a lot of people blamed Eve, saying like, well, she's the temptress.
Yeah.
Forever the temptress. Yeah.
And now people will say that, like, women are tempting and all this.
Yeah,
type
well,
of
no,
shit,
like
yeah.
certain religions go super extreme.
Mhm.
Like, if she does that, like, you know, you can rape her because
Mhm.
she tempted you,
Mhm.
and therefore you have no control over your own
There's a
dick
lot. So
or
there's a
your
lot
own
of there's
things.
a lot of passed down trauma with the woman.
Some are passed down and some were lived. I mean,
Mhm.
I think in our parents' era, like, there's a lot of resentful women because of the way they were treated, especially after having children. And I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't that long ago. It was I think 20s or 30s when women were still getting tied down to have birth.
Mhm.
And there was still doing like shock treatments. I mean, what the rights movement was, Brandon, I don't know if you like know, it was like what, the 50s?
The
The
women's
civil
rights.
rights movement.
Yeah.
The women's rights movement.
Yeah,
Women's
civil.
rights movement.
Yeah,
We
no, not
literally have
civil.
a
Sorry, the
fucking
women's
DJ
right.
that's gonna look shit up. This is crazy. The podcast has gotten just so lit.
I'm pretty sure like shit wasn't changed. Didn't actually even fully change until the 70s.
1960.
1960.
Okay, so that's not
Wow.
that fucking long
We have
ago.
a guy looking shit up. This is so official.
When you're talking about this shit, you're not looking at it. It's not that long
Yeah,
ago
no, I
where women
understand.
were
Can
treated
I
like this.
ask you a question based on that though?
Yeah.
When you say men need to step up, and which I fully agree, but I
If you want to be the leader.
exactly.
If you want that respect.
I think the reason I've dug very, very deep into masculinity and taking your power as a man and all these things, and I believe it's my mission now to spread this word. But I believe a man's misery comes from him not taking his responsibility that he's been gifted with.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: when you say men need to step up, we need to treat our women better. What if women are indulging in actions that a man doesn't want? So it's like,
The fuck you mean they're buying it? Like, how are you gonna say like
but what
that
I'm
goes
saying
along with
is
like
what about,
she's making him do things he doesn't want to do?
So what about a man like me? Say I'm who I am,
Mhm.
and we're not together.
Mhm.
What if you're like, oh, men need to step up to create better women, but I'm looking at all these chicks and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want a chick that displays her body for $2.99 a month. I don't want that. I don't want a chick that's had 50 bodies. I don't want that. So it's like, what do you say to that? So what do you say to when you say guys need to step up to create better women? What if these chicks are out here and they're just fucking wilding, and I don't want anything to do with that? So where do you go with that?
What do you mean? So where do I go with those women?
Men need to step up in order to have better women, right? And I agree.
To have women safe in their femininity. And
which means that they won't, quote unquote, do these things, right? Or they won't engage in these actions. But what if they are?
You're not going to take like sexuality out of any individual, but you're going to make it more healthy and more secure looking, and not in a place where it's fake or where it's value driven or worth driven.
Okay.
Yeah. No. And I mean,
sorry to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off. I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say, like, kind of look at the way, flip the script,
Yeah.
and then look at it from your actual physical perspective.
Mhm.
You have been a person who was fucking around, who had X amount of bodies. From her perspective, she went to Playboy but shut it down and has morals. And looking at that, you know, she's saying the same thing. I don't want a dude that's out there fucking a bunch of chicks. I don't want a dude that's out there, you know, living the way he wants to. And then look at yourself. Look what you self-realized that you need to change. You changed, and now you're with him.
Yeah,
now you have a happy
but
marriage,
I
now
would
you have a
argue,
kid.
but I would argue.
Too.
So what
I
is
would-
the
A lot of guys say though that what Nate believes is that men can sleep around and it doesn't change the difference.
Hang on.
What do you want me?
What
hang
I
on
would
to?
argue,
Yeah,
is that the traditional wiring of women and men is different, and that's why no matter how many people I'd slept with, I never had a girl check me and say, "Oh, well, how many people you slept with before we do this?"
you were sleeping with hanging fruit though. You were sleeping with the easy girls. You weren't like you weren't demanding high standard women.
So here's what I'm saying is, remember how we were talking about the wired values of a woman, safety and security, right?
Right.
So there's a nice guy out there that makes $100,000 a year, that has a 401k, that has retirement, that has health insurance, that would be very nice to a woman, buy her a car, let her stay home and take care of the kids.
If
let
he's
her,
not dangerous,
listen,
he's not in his masculine.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let her have an easy life. But there's also a guy
Don't want easy.
that has 10
want safe
girlfriends, 5 baby mamas, a criminal rap sheet however long, no job, selling drugs, doing whatever, but because he's against the grain and because he's dangerous and because he has this bad boy persona, he gets the girls. And girls, because they value earlier. Because women value their safety and security more than they value these other things. That's what I'm saying. Men inherently value purity.
Beliefs,
no matter what you say, men inherently value purity. I would have never married a chick that was just I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say it, but I wouldn't have.
So let's take this, Brandon. Let's take this fake girl.
Okay, cool.
Because he said, the girl, if he flipped it and you slept with a lot of people, right?
Okay.
Well, that girl's me, right?
And we're married, so okay.
Okay, but
clearly something was
so
more valuable.
let's be honest though about it. Like, it has had huge detriment to our relationship.
Yes.
You sleeping around, and my personal belief is it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a female if you're fucking around. And here's why. I'm going to push.
I believe that now.
I'm going to hold on, because you're saying that it's different if a guy sleeps around compared to a girl.
Different.
Hold on, let me finish, because you just said that. You said it's different. A guy wants purity. And it has the energy. I'm believe on energy. I'm big on energies and energetic, and I'm big with sex, and that's why I'm saying I am different than girls at a young age, because I believed that. And I can't remember who said the quote, but I believe in energy. I study quantum physics, and not just even on that, but it creates life. I mean, a lot of people want to dick around with sex and say that it's just whatever, it's sex, but I mean,
dick around.
Yeah, literally. But it creates life. I mean, there has to be something spiritual about that.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
So you brought on a lot of bad energies to our relationship.
Agreed.
And there's been a lot of issues with that. So for you to say that it's just been like, oh, I slept around, it wasn't a big deal, and Kalai is pure. So here, no, I know, but it has been detrimental to our relationship. So much so that I have broken up with you, and there have been things that we're still working on, because of the people you've slept with, because of the people, and what I was going to say was the quote, I can't remember who said it, but like, don't fuck anybody you wouldn't want to be, because you literally take on
their energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
And so where I'm going to push push the narrative, I guess, is with Andrew Tate. So the one thing that I would argue with Andrew Tate, the one thing that I find contradicting is, I do agree with him on a lot of standpoints. I just, like I said, I don't like his delivery, but I do think that he, a lot of the girls that he talks bad on or down on, like that's how he made his millions, was through girls who were on OnlyFans.
And that's the one question I want to ask him when I interview him.
Like, that's how he made his money. And
Maybe do you think that's why he has this revelation to save men? Because he saw the things that he saw. He talks about in interviews how...
And yeah, he did say that. He said that. He talks about how he spoke to really sad men who were lonely, who wanted to talk to women just because they were lonely, not even necessarily for sex.
That's the only thing that sucks is I feel like I think he's a great power. I think he's a great force for the world. I truly do. I think, like I said, I think a lot of he's very fucking smart. For anyone that thinks that he doesn't do this deception thing in order to get views and become popular, you're sadly mistaken. I know he doesn't talk about his love life. He doesn't talk about if he's married. He'll even say, who's to say I'm not married with one woman right now and I'm not monogamous, right?
No, but hold on, I was going somewhere with that. So with Andrew Tate, I would also say like a lot of the people don't like the fact that, you know, he says he wants to be married, but he wants to be able to go sleep around. And so I want to like break that down, right? I think it's sexy if you want to be honest about that and you want to sleep with other people. Like, I think that's sexier than lying and hiding it. And I think that's more of a boss, in my opinion, if you're honest about it.
It's committing to what I want.
Correct. But I still find it feminine in its own sense. I think it's higher up, a level up from lying and hiding and all that. But I think it's still in as feminine because, and biologically on a physical level, I'm going to get into sex on a physical level and why I don't think it's okay for either partners to sleep around. Because when you have sex with someone, you introduce new bacterias. So you're having sex, let's say unsafe sex, you know, without a condom. You're introducing new bacteria, his bacteria and your bacteria. And over time, if you keep having sex with the same person and nobody else, over time, your chemistry literally becomes one. Yeah. And you now have like the same bacteria.
It's just like how when you drink and you build a tolerance, or just like how when you drink caffeine you build a tolerance. Like your body gets used to shit.
Yeah, but it's literally like on
it's taking it in is what I mean.
On like a bacteria level though, like you literally have the same bacteria. You're swapping it and it's now your body has been adjusted to it. So now nothing's like the first time you have sex with somebody, women are more prone to having like UTIs, they're more prone to getting bacterial infections, yeast infections, etc. So here's where I'm going to argue that point is if you want to be married to a woman or committed to a woman, and then you go out and have sex with another woman, and your bacteria is now unclean, and now you're bringing back a new bacteria. This is the number one way to see if a man, or to know for sure if a man has cheated. Like your yoni, your vagina, knows when a man cheats because there's new introduced bacteria, and you're more likely to get a UTI, yeast infection, bacterial infections.
Or stink.
Or STDs. Yeah. let's look at it like
it's how not Gucci, bro.
Like let's look at it and let's say like how are you going to say you're going to wife someone up and then give her a possible STD because you don't have the discipline over your own cock. So to me I would question his thought process with that because just on a anatomical level, like it doesn't make sense to have more than one partner because unless here's the only way I would say is if he had like 4 or 5 wives and they were all sleeping together consistently and they all kind of started to have the same bacteria, then I would say that would be cool. But him to go out and sleep with other women, you're gonna fuck up your girl's pH. You're gonna fuck up her yoni, and I feel like I just don't get how.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple
how
questions.
You can
let me ask you a couple questions. So
you're gonna go out and fuck somebody.
Yeah. Let's kind of round it out. So let's kind of go over what we talked about. So let me ask you from a female perspective, and I'll give you my perspective. Why do you think women, because there are women that are okay with this, why do you think women are okay with being with a man that has multiple women and being okay with it?
I don't think they are okay with it.
You don't think at all?
I think like in the standpoint of if she knows about it and she knows the women and like he's going to marry like 5 different women and they all live in the same household, they're all taking care of each other. I think that is a different situation than him just going out. You don't know who he's fucking. You don't know where he's dipping his dick. And
so the wives thing. So if you're okay, like why do women why are some women okay with being with a man that is fully married, fully committed to multiple people? Why?
There would be a need being met, which would probably be some type of security or some type of safety.
Okay, so
that,
guys and guys with, so I mean, not necessarily always money, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's so foolish for guys out here to think they can only provide with money. There's so many ways to provide to a woman. I mean, money is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing guys with money at all, but I guarantee, I mean, there's a lot of rich guys out here getting divorced. There's a lot of rich guys out here not keeping their women. So
there's a lot of rich guys that can't find love.
Yeah, because some girls just want the money. So yeah.
Okay, so I personally, and this is something that I'll kind of go against the narrative and be fully transparent. I would never want that. Little backstory: with multiple women. Yeah. When Klein and I met, she had just got out of a relationship, and you know, we were like just started talking, and she wanted to experiment and have threesomes, and I didn't want to. I had done it in my past, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do with her. And I told her, you know, and I'll be again fully transparent and say what I said. I said, I will not stick my dick in someone and then stick it directly in you. I won't disrespect you like that. And that still stands true to this day. So with all this content floating around, we've been joking around the house and, oh, you know, we should get another wife and do all this shit. And I as a man,
I've joked about
that.
I've joked about
I
that.
am.
You have. I've joked about that because I need help around the house.
I wouldn't do it. So and that's just my stance on it. And she has even said it's not something that she would completely throw out the window. But
me,
yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like, there's just so many hypotheticals out there. But
of
like,
course.
if I wasn't, I don't know, man. I'm not against here. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not against being with a man and having like multiple wives. I'm definitely not against that. I have been very attracted to women. I think women are amazing. I would be fine with like being with a woman, but obviously like
you'd have to have a very, very strict dynamic.
No, I mean, no. I think it would depend on the women. Like, there's a lot of jealous women out there, or competitive women, and it just could not be like that, which would be really hard. And I think if he's going around and sleeping with them separately, that would be weird. But like, if you're all just,
you got to be the main.
If you're all just doing it with each other, like, I think that's completely open and fine.
See, and that's what I'm saying. As a man, right, that I'm masculine, and having a woman that has that type of thinking, I personally wouldn't do it. I couldn't.
Well, our culture and society where we live, it would be weird and it would be very hard.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of women out there who I wouldn't want to do that. It would be a very rare type of women to like make that dynamic actually very healthy and work. But I don't see a problem with that. However, I will say this. I would have like, and it would have to be girls that I would want to be with, you know. It wouldn't just be like, I don't know. And I feel like it would have had to been one of those things that like it just fell into place on its own, like organically, like, oh, this is just working. If like, I would never try to force that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But
would it be, sorry to interrupt, would it be more so for your sort of like your comfortability?
Because I don't want that.
Would you want Nate to fall in love with her and have this dynamic?
No, she wouldn't want that.
No, I'm okay. So here's the thing. I think I could only do that with a guy that I wasn't like in love with. I think I could have love for a man and love for these women, but like, I think possessiveness on a man and woman's side is very
real,
true to nature. And I could have a lot of love for somebody and be able to do that. But I don't think if I would have never fell in love, I feel like that would have been the perfect dynamic situation for secure safety, was to have a man where there's a lot of compatibility and there's love there and there's multiple women and we all you know, meet those needs and we fulfill them for each other. And like, she's like my emotional support and he's, you know, gone and doing his thing. And then I have these women here with me and we're raising kids together. Like, that would have probably been the most like secure, safest route I could have gone if I hadn't fallen in love. So to me, as far as like you falling in love with another woman, like as far as our dynamic goes, I know that wouldn't necessarily work. But if we hadn't met, and I hadn't fallen in love with anybody, I would be totally open to that idea. Is what I'm saying. And I would be open to that idea. But I mean, not all women are, you know, okay with other women. Not other women would, you know, be okay with that. And I would find that very weird to be in a marriage with other women and a man if you're not also having sex with those women. Like, I think like you're just taking turns. Like, I don't know. I find that.
Yeah. See, I don't.
That would be weird.
And I don't value that. So that's the thing, is like, that's the narrative that's being pushed on all these platforms, is that
they should be able to have
a guy fully wants that. I don't want that. I don't think
a masculine man would, because that's
I want to
vision.
put my energy into one exactly.
How the fuck are you supposed to focus on 5 different? I mean, that would take a lot.
That's fucking exhausting, bro. Let me tell you, I did the whole fucking multiple things. It's fucking exhausting. It's not. It doesn't. Your creative energy is
and
being
you weren't
depleted.
Even dated them.
Is being depleted.
So like, you weren't even pouring into them.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is as I understand now, I value the mission. So if I don't want anything to take my creativity and my power away from my mission unless it's my wife.
Well, and I don't think men value their seed. Like, that is your energy. Like, you're literally giving.
That's
life.
Why the porn and all this shit is so put in your face, because they want you to be fucking drained. They want you to be weak.
They want you to be
the
addicted.
Testosterone is the lowest that it's ever been in fucking human history because of all these things.
That's
the
an
porn,
energetic level.
The fucking the OnlyFans. That's why OnlyFans shit is all allowed and all these other things are being silenced, because this provides you opportunities to be fucking weak, and this provides you opportunities to give your creativeness and your creative power and your focus and energy as a man, which is the most fucking important thing. You give it away.
So I'm gonna say this: there's a lot of women out there who think that they're empowered and they're the ones who are ahead, because we know that about men, and we know that we can take from them, and we know that if I flash them a little tit, a little ass, I can get whatever I want from them, and we use that to our benefit. And, you know, can you really blame girls in our society for trying to take care of themselves and like the way that they've been treated in relationships a lot of the time, or in their past, like,
or throughout human history?
Yeah, throughout human history. Like, can we really blame women for going to the other side of the pendulum and being like, well, like, so, you know, with the whole women's rights, I agree it needed to happen, but yeah, we swung too far, because, you know, I'm gonna make some women mad, but I also want them to hear this. Like, we didn't fight. We still have yet to have our rights as women and like a place in society as a feminine person. We fought to be men. We didn't fight. We didn't fight
to be women. You fought to be men.
Yeah.
You fought to get paid the same. You fought to work. You fought to pay taxes.
Yeah.
You fought for all this bullshit, basically.
No, I wouldn't say. Whoa! I wouldn't say bullshit, because it needed to happen, but we swung so far.
You swung too far. Yes.
Yeah, but which you know you do when you're trying to find the balance, right? So you know, you can't put these women down for being angry. For, you know, I don't agree with extreme feminism at all, or feminist movement, I should say, because a lot of the times it puts masculine traits down, and I believe a true masculine is very needed in the society, and I think that
both are needed.
Lacking.
Like, that's why we're both.
Yeah, but we are trying to be men. So a lot of women, like for myself, I would say my age group, a lot of us grew up more masculine, taking care of ourselves, trying to provide for ourselves. And here's the thing: this is something that I don't think a lot of men understand,
it's something that's very hard to break.
About.
It's very hard to break.
The masculine pattern. Yeah, but like having masculine energy is needed, because it's good to be able to protect yourself, right? As a woman, but knowing when and where and how,
to
I
let
guess,
that go,
or when it's needed. You know, you can't get into a relationship if you want to be the feminine, and being your masculine. It's not going to work. But just understanding where the background came from and why women, and you have to understand, women are scared on a day-to-day basis. Our levels of anxiety are way higher than men's, just on a subconscious level of survival. If I walk down the road, I'm way more tense, way more, even if I'm not conscious of it, I'm way more on the awareness levels than a man is.
I'll argue that. Go ahead.
Because, I mean, what do you mean? There's women like.
So that's the whole thing that people say, like, oh my God, women feel unsafe all the time. I would agree.
They do.
But I would also say that a man that doesn't know how to fight, that has a family and has a wife and kids, he's more scared to go down the street than you are.
What?
100%.
He's more scared to go down the street than a woman because he's more scared of getting raped and attacked and
he's
taken.
more scared that he can't defend his family. I will argue that for that man. I will argue that for that man.
He's more scared. I don't even understand what you're saying. He's more scared that he can't
defend his family. If something were to go down, and this is a very common thing that's being portrayed.
You're talking about men who have. You're talking about men who have a family.
Maybe Brandon can interject on this.
But I'm talking about every single woman.
Okay, and I wouldn't disagree, but I would say coming from the opposite side that there is some.
Men are more scared
Brandon,
to walk down the street.
Can you give me? Go ahead.
Okay, so what I would say here is that it would be completely circumstantial.
Exactly.
On a daily basis, I would say women 100%, even the man with the family,
and I would agree with,
is way more scared, way more terrified. Just knowing my wife, she's fucking scared that somebody knocks at the front door.
Yeah.
And you have to understand something about me. Like, I think you play off a lot of my energy and that I'm not scared. I grew up a fighter and I'm not scared of a lot of shit. I'm more terrified now that I have children than I've ever been of anything like that. But me being like that is not your average woman.
And I know that.
Like,
I know that.
Me like being like, all right, fucking bring it, like I'll fight to the death, is not your average woman at all. And even just women knowing how to handle themselves is not your average woman. So like,
I agree.
So you playing off
I just
of
don't
me
want
and
to
how
say
you know
that it's not. It's still apparent on the other side is what I'm saying. But people will often say that people don't know what women go through. And people don't know what this. But like Brandon said, it's very circumstantial.
Yeah, but maybe on a circumstance of like where you see that there's a threat, but women are scared of the threat when it's not even visible. We're constantly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We're constantly on the
defense.
Yeah, we're constantly.
Just from my marriage perspective. Like Lacey is on defense mode before she even goes to the store, and she takes precautions that aren't even real,
that aren't even necessary,
necessary for a man to even consider at any time of day.
Yeah. No,
she takes
I would agree with that. I just think that
parasympathetic,
and I just think that there is this there's this idea that doesn't exist on that side, and I just don't
I'm
believe
not saying it doesn't
that
exist. I'm just trying to say
I definitely see that. You know what I mean? Like I would be terrified circumstantially if
you saw
I could
a threat.
not. If I saw a threat and I knew
and you
I
had
couldn't
2
protect,
kids and you can't fight, like you're like, fuck, bro, like this is as a man, his family is his life. Like that is my life. If you die, I could arguably say that a man that knows that man that knows that he could never fight, could never defend himself, or he knows deep within him that he wouldn't if something were to pop off and his wife and children got hurt to the point of death, that man would kill himself.
See, and I'm more masculine than that man, because even if I see a threat that I know is going to take me out, I'm still going to fucking fight.
100%. But what I'm saying is, and I agree with you, I just don't think that the fairness of that's, I think, a part of something that, and I know you don't agree with the feminist movement, but as far as what the feminists say is that's one of their main points. You don't know what it's like to be a woman, but you also, like I said, I know men that would freeze when or wouldn't even. I know that if something were to happen, I know deep within me that I wouldn't respond.
Statistically, though, men aren't getting raped and taken as frequently. Little boys,
and I understand
not men.
that. I'm not
little
talking
boys.
about, and I'm not talking about men in general. I'm talking about, again, a man whose life is his family. If anything were to go down,
that's what I'm talking about. The very real circumstances of the threat to women. The thing that you're talking about is a lot more rare than the shit I'm talking about, because the shit I'm talking about happens.
I agree
A lot. And so what I'm trying to say is I don't agree with the extreme feminist movement. I agree there needed to be a movement, but I don't agree with the extremeness of it. However, I'm trying to give some context of why women are so angry. And as a woman, I don't agree with the way they are handling themselves, but I'm trying to let you understand why they are there. And, you know, something that, you know, the shit that you're talking about, you know, like it's hard to be a man, hard to provide, hard to do this and that. Women know what it's like to provide for themselves. They know what it's like to try to feed themselves, to take care of themselves. They know that struggle. They know that struggle of trying to take care of kids and trying to do that. They know that struggle. But the thing is that if guys could understand, and then I feel like they could actually take the lead if they understood these women, that you guys will never understand what it's like to wake up and go to work on your period, or to be in pain, to push through that, or what it's like to be pregnant, or what it's like to give birth and then have to go to work 4 to 6 weeks later while you're still wearing a diaper, or what it's like to for your body to completely change after you've given birth and not recognize yourself, and then your hormones are fluctuating, and you know you have this idea of what you're supposed to look like and you don't look like that, and then you're in pain, like constantly in pain.
I would agree, and that's why I feel like,
and you're in this world that doesn't let you feel safe, and let alone you don't have many men out there who make you feel safe. Like, women are angry, and then, you know, they're getting pregnant by guys who don't even help them very much financially or with the kids. You know, the roles of parenting are very different. The women are the head tier for taking care of kids. They're the what's the word for it? People call it something like the automatic person go to, right? Not the fathers. So that in itself is a huge role. Design. Okay, by design, but then a lot of the women are still having to take care of themselves, still having to do all this. That, and so we have a lot more on our plate when you look at it from, I don't want to compare it, but it's like when you look at our society, women have a lot more on their plate to deal with some bullshit than men do. You know,
I would say you don't. I would say you don't get to speak on that. I would say you get to speak from your perspective, but I would argue that a man's emotional pain is very, 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 very deep, based upon, like you said, the societal norms that can create an inadequacy in
I'm not taking it. So one man's pain doesn't take away from another man's pain.
Totally.
So I don't think it can be compared to a woman's pain, but I think for any change to happen, I think both need to have. I don't think it's supposed to be compared. Understood. Right.
Yeah. There's no understanding.
And this is my whole point, though, is I feel like it's way more up to the men to create that change, because you want a feminine woman in her femininity, but there needs to, what do we need for that? We need safety. So it's up to men to create that safety and a safe environment for more women to be walking around in their femininity, more masculine men in their roles that we can count on to be able to do so.
And I would 1000% agree. Being in, my belief is, within a man, the pain that we endure and the pain that we feel of you don't know what it's like to be a man, all this type of stuff, those are the things that we need to take on in order to make that pain go away. Like the whole, you don't know what it's like to be a man, taking that responsibility is what your masculine essence desires. Like taking the role and understanding, yo, I take care of this, I take care of that, I take care of the family, my uncles, aunts, everything got jobs, my friends got jobs, the homies are good, like the homies are wearing Rolexes, like all this stuff. A man wants that.
Yeah, generational wealth.
Generational changes, like taking care of everyone around him. A man wants that. Yeah. So start with taking care of your woman. I mean, that's...
Yeah, well, Mother Teresa said, like, if you want to change the world, start at your home. And I think, you know, a lot of, and I you know, as far as like sleeping around and everything goes, people are going to do what people are going to do. Like, I'm not going to change people's mind by my spiritual beliefs and my energetic beliefs on sexuality. But just know that, like, sex creates life. And, like, if you want to sleep around, that's fine. But as far as, like, wifing somebody up, like, and doing all that, I would highly recommend semen retention to men who want to work on themselves. 100%. And I would highly recommend not spreading your seed to these hoes that you don't respect or anything like that, because it's speaking on you as well. I mean, your woman is a mirror of you. She's your duality partner, like, and you're going to carry a lot of her sins onto you. So I would just say focus on you, and like once your cup is running over, that's when you should be thinking about marriage. That's when you should be thinking about that. But as of like just being a man in society who's not married, you can still do plenty of things to create a safe environment for women.
One thing that I want to say about that, like you said, don't try to look for a marriage until your cup is running over. I want to speak on that, and then I want to go back and kind of round it out and ask some of the questions so we can, because we're running on. But one thing that I will say to a man and as a man, the most beautiful thing that I believe is the thing that we built together. I think that's what I'm most prideful of, and I flex the hardest. But what I will say for a man is something like that she said, I would get your shit together before I would look for a wife. And as great as our story is, it's
come with struggle for sure.
A lot of it. And as great as our story is, and as great as it's going to be to tell that story when we are, doing the things that we want to do, when we open our school, when we, take care of foster kids and do all these things that we've talked about, and, giving fucking money away and taking, and just giving. It's not ours, right? It's been given to us, which means the more that we do, like, we're trying to make the world turn. But, that's a whole nother fucking episode for another podcast. But get your shit together. And the reason I say is because as a man who has something to stand on, as a man who's been through morals. This, when you are on your process trying to break these low vibrational habits that you have as a man who may have trauma or may have a wound from childhood, you do very fucking toxic things. A man who is not abundant is not attractive to a woman. It just is what it is. And when you're trying to obtain money, when you're trying to get all these things, when you're chasing the dream, we display a lot of habits and that are not attractive to a woman, and makes a relationship very hard. When you get your shit together, I just believe that if you can do it in a way that, you're within your values and your morals, you become who you are truly meant to be. You attract the actual woman that you want. And that's the deciphering for a man and a woman in a relationship is, am I attracted to this person for my trauma, or am I attracted to this person for who I truly want to be? Because the energy will match you.
Oh, for sure.
So two men, I firmly believe, and again, as great as our story is, get your bag, get on your mission, focus on yourself, because the amount of energy, time, energy, and money, which are your three biggest, most important personal resources it takes to chase the dream, it's very, very hard in a relationship.
I wouldn't say just focus on the bag though, or like all this stuff.
Not on the bag, but I would focus
say
on
spirituality over anything, because like money's gonna amplify your
totally
problems.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about being the full best version of yourself.
Yeah, which I think a lot of the times
I got lucky, but I think then you will attract the best woman. I had
my own shit. My own shit too.
In order for me to get you, there was some sort of luck involved. But I think when you become the best version of yourself, you will get the best woman for you, is what I'm saying. So doing the fucking spiritual work, which is the most important. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Digging into the shit that sucks. And this is unlocking everything. Your conscious, all the pain and the things that we're dealing with as men, your conscious is a compass to fulfillment. Your conscious is that little voice within you when you ask a dude, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to represent? Oh, I don't know. You're full of shit. You're fucking lying. Your conscious is telling you, that little voice is telling you. When you ignore it and you don't choose to go into it, go into the pain and do all that work, you never become who you're supposed to. And I think when you do all that, when you find your mission to give yourself to and to commit to fully, you find the best woman that fits the best version of you. You don't want to find a chick that is attracted to you when you're not your best self, because then you are attracting based upon your trauma and your low vibration and your bad energy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how I feel. So let's round it out. Let's go through a couple questions.
Hold on, I want to speak on that really quick before we round it out.
I want
to. No, but I think, as far as, I just think you have to be careful when you say like focus on your bag, focus on yourself, because I think a man's mission should be more than himself.
I agree.
And I think our society has a very toxic way of just focusing on themselves and I don't need anybody, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Not what I'm saying, but I see.
No, I know. But when you say like focus on you, I honestly think you maybe should not look in the mirror so much and actually focus on bigger things than you to create a real mission.
A man's mission is always bigger than himself.
Yeah.
I think if a man is not finding a way to serve humanity, I don't believe he is aligned with what he is created for.
And money will amplify problems that you already have. So 100%, you can focus on your bag, you can do that, but simultaneously definitely work on your spirituality and all this and that, because you're gonna, women, if you have money, you're gonna attract a lot of women for the wrong reasons. And that's just to be something to be aware of. And I don't know. I just think be careful when you say like bag and focus on yourself, because
but this is hard. We could go down these rabbit holes forever. There's always an explanation behind that. You and I have talked about this. The reason we're physical beings, right? So a lot of times we need physical proof. My whole thing with manifestation is not like some, magic mumbo jumbo bullshit that everyone thinks it is. It's thoughts, actions, beliefs. Why do we need the physical? Because we're physical beings. So I say get your bag, because a lot of men can't think abundantly until they have that. Is that a fault? And is that some form of like, the opposition, quote unquote, taking over you?
For the men who want women, I just want to let off a little pressure for these men who don't have a bag, right? Because society, I want to let off just a little pressure, and just for them to know that a good woman is gonna be more attracted to a man who's not a sellout in hard fucking times
100%.
Than a guy with a big bag. And at the end of the day, we want the dangerous man. And when I say dangerous, I mean the safety type of dangerous man who's gonna protect, provide, and make shit happen. At the end of the day, if we lose it all, or if our world goes into a crisis, we want that man standing beside us. We're not gonna run to the guy with a mansion.
Exactly. Because most of those guys are running with the crowd.
Yeah.
When shit gets crazy, they're fuck this. I don't know.
Yeah. But so I when you say get your bag, yes, I'm not saying don't.
And I only say that because we're physical beings, and a lot of people can't display abundance until they have it.
See, I disagree with that.
What do you mean? 99% of people don't think like us. No. 99% of people are in a low vibration. It's not even about the money. It's about the way people think.
Yeah, but I disagree with you get abundant once you're abundant type of mentality. And I disagree with, the manifestation. If we could actually just sit, and if we had enough belief in us, we wouldn't have to really work for shit. But the action is so important, because it
instills the belief.
It instills the belief, yeah. So the action, but what's the most important thing? The belief, the power of belief. So a lot of the time, with people with manifesting, they think it's all thought based, and the thought is important to a sense, but here's where here's where it actually can fuck you over. If you're trying to force yourself something that you don't actually believe, to think something you don't actually believe, that actually can be more harming to yourself, because what manifests is actually feeling based. Feeling based is what is manifested. So you can think all day long, I'm a beast, I'm this, I'm that, but if you don't feel it in your core, you're manifesting the opposite.
That's why I think that action is so important. So if you I firmly believe, and I know because I know myself, that when I look at a fat guy in the gym, I used to, but I never look down on those people, because I know that if that is with inside me, that is with inside him. But it's hard for him to look in the mirror and go, I'm a beast, I'm this, I'm that, when I can look in the mirror and say that confidently because I see it. Do you see what I'm saying there? But let's not get into that. We're completely off red pill. We're talking about spiritual shit. So real quick.
But
short
shit is red pill.
And
it's
I
important.
agree, but short. Okay,
it's very
so short,
important. Like,
short
more
answers.
people need to be talking about this shit because
I agree.
no one has morals anymore. No one has fucking values that they stand by. Everyone's a fucking sellout.
I'm talking about the manifestation thing.
Well, yeah, it's all a part of it. The way that people see themselves, the way that they, feeling based is important. This whole like society of anxiety and depression and which are very real feelings. But we allow certain things to control us.
That's another fucking episode.
Well, I know that's another episode, but I'm just saying that this shit's important because it's what's going on in our society. Women don't feel heard. Men don't feel heard. Neither can like care for the other the way they need.
Okay.
And we're lacking we're in a spiritual war.
We are, yeah,
without
100%.
the spiritual talk. We
have been in its whole thing is a spiritual war. It's never been physical.
No, I know, but so what I'm trying to say is like this shit needs to be touched on. This needs to be talked about.
I agree.
A man who doesn't have any morals or anything that he stands by is not in a masculine role.
No, because then he's a fucking leaf just being blown in the wind from one fucking check to another, from one chick to another, from one drink to another, from one drug to another.
Yeah.
It's weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people out here are lonely. It's not just men. It's not just women. But I think having some type of understanding, instead of just looking at people like, oh, wow, they're wrong for doing this, having some type of background and understanding of why they do what they do creates a lot of empathy. And that's where we can actually create different, like, actually have the hard conversations and to create that change. We live in a world right now where we cannot have hard conversations. And that's not love. Like to be able to sit somebody down and be like, I don't agree, like that is not a loving state. It's not loving to have a family and just be passive with your family. And like if we have children and they're not getting along and I'm not, whatever, like it's not loving to have those hard conversations so that people can heal and not create these stories in their head, right? A lot of us are walking around just with the stories we tell ourselves over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's round it out. Okay, definition of a high value man, go.
A high value man? Yeah, a lot of people will say it's the 1% of man with
Quick
money.
Answer.
But a high value man is a masculine man and his masculine and a purpose in his mission. He cannot be led, he cannot be bought out or sold out, and he has discipline and focus.
I agree.
His dick doesn't direct him. The money doesn't direct him. That is a high valuable man.
I agree. I think
and rare.
For me, I think a high value man is, and again, to contrary to popular belief, that is spiritual because of he's here to do. I think man was created as a spiritual warrior with a hunger for meaning. That's how I define it. A mission that serves humanity, and the reason I say it's spiritual is because I believe that you shouldn't, as a man, you should never measure yourself based on something that was created by another man.
Right.
I think you should measure yourself. I say it in the group. We only measure ourselves based on our level of commitment to pursuing our inner truth, going on our journey and our mission, and then sharing it in service to others.
Right.
So again, the commitment, the discipline, all those things are necessary in order to fulfill the mission. And again, especially as a man, don't ever measure yourself based upon something that another man has created. Like, that's why I believe that the spirituality is missing, because that is automatically a guidance, right? I'm not a religious person, but as far as like spirituality goes, the spirituality is a guidance in order to understand your design and your purpose in this world is to be, like you said, a spiritual warrior. We've already talked about that. We're in big agreement with that. Okay.
But I think it's important to ask men too, if they want that title and they want kingship, to ask themselves like the way that they're looking and viewing women, whether women are in the right or not, is acceptable towards what they want, and if they're actually creating safety for these women to be how a woman is naturally designed to be. And if they're gonna be fathers to these girls the way that they're looking at and talking about other women right now, like, you know what I'm saying, like there's a lot of traumas that happen with women, and I don't think a lot of the time these conversations those get talked about enough. And I'm not agreeing.
Short answers.
Yeah,
Short
and
answers,
I'm not agreeing with the whole victim mentality. But there's a reason, and there's a subconscious that gets instilled in us, in every single one of us. And for the masses, you know, we're not just talking about 1 or 2 women. We're talking about the masses of women are doing this right now.
Yeah.
And that there needs to be some accountability on men's part to look at and go, whoa, why are
nobody forces
women...
people to make decisions.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying why do you think they're choosing that route? Why do you think a majority of masses of women are choosing that route?
Because I think it's the good versus evil. The evil is the narrative that's being pushed, and the good is the man being in that role of the spiritual warrior that's supposed to come in and save the fucking day. That's why I firmly believe, and I always say this, if you're not the hero of your own story, if you're not a hero to someone and a hero to a group of people and to the world, I believe, expect misery as a man.
So if you expect that from a woman, though, then don't expect a woman to follow you, because she's going to then be the hero of her own story.
I would just look at, honestly, if I chime in, I would just look at a lot of these situations as problems that need a solution. If there are women out there who are getting inspiration from other women to sell themselves online and take the fast and easy, secure route, that's just as advertised, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like,
it's just
there's a reason why, like,
it's also acceptable.
There's a reason why McDonald's is one of the most
shitty.
like commercialized things. You know, there's Carl's Jr., Wendy's. When's the last time you saw a commercialized healthy food option?
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, these men are buying all this stuff. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the guys that talk on these podcasts are subscribed to half these girls' shit.
I wouldn't argue with that.
So that's my whole point. Like, you want them to stop, but you're literally supporting it. And then you mock them and make fun of them for it.
Yeah,
but
that's toxic as fuck. That's
and same with the women, though, because a lot of women look at men and like, I'm going to use them for their money. Like, look how stupid they are.
Yeah,
like, I show them a little tit and I take their money.
Okay, so on that topic, and let's just, this yes or no short answer. Is OnlyFans a bad thing?
Is it a bad thing?
Should it determine a woman's future?
Should it determine a woman's future?
If she does OnlyFans.
Who the fuck am I to say that?
Okay, fine. Okay.
Like, who the... I'm not...
I'm
not one to judge.
I wouldn't date an OnlyFans chick. From my perspective, I wouldn't date a chick that was...
Now or in 10 years?
I wouldn't date an OnlyFans chick. I wouldn't claim an OnlyFans chick as my woman.
You'd fuck her, but you wouldn't claim her? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't fuck her, no.
Now?
I wouldn't be involved in that, yeah.
Now?
But quick question, do you hold that...
yes.
Let's say that title against her 10 years from her
the internet is forever. My sons are going to, if there's a possibility that my sons could know that if you're in middle school and it's like, hey, your mom, my dad used to buy your mom's butthole for $2.99 a month. Fuck that. Nope.
Okay.
Not gonna happen.
I don't disagree.
Do you give people, maybe you wouldn't do that, but you have a friend, let's say me, I'm not married to Lacey, I'm out there, I'm looking for women. This girl does a dramatic 360. Completely takes responsibility for her actions, for what she's done. She actually improves the lives of herself, but others. She's responsible, like the hardest work ethic. You know, do you take that away from someone else who? Do you give her respect? Because why are you not 13 years old anymore? You know what I mean? Because if you were 13, you wouldn't be the age you are.
One thing that I will say is I agree 100% with what you just said there, and I am in agreement with you. And as far as that goes, but what I will say is for that man to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you really want this to ever come back up? And the answer, if you are honest with yourself, is no. But
can I ask you, what do you think of? So women exposing, there's a very fine line, and I agree with this over sexualizing a woman's body, and then a woman also sexualizing her body is, you know, you need to respect yourself first before you ask for respect. I understand that concept. However, when you're looking at a female body, like people with breastfeeding are exposing their breasts with feeding their child. And I think a huge issue with that is that we over-sexualize women, and I do think women over-sexualize
Yeah,
themselves.
I would agree.
However, I think that like being able to, there's a lot of men out here who would say, I don't want my woman to expose her breast to feed her child, and I think that is such a fucked up mindset.
I would never say that.
But I guess how you look at a breast is,
No,
and raising men to like raising my son to look at a breast as a way to feed his brothers and sisters, and to respect the woman's body for what it does and what it, feeding children. I think that is important to teach to a boy, and I think it is silly to hide what a breast is actually for to a young boy.
I think they want it to be a sexual thing, because then again, the porn, the OnlyFans, all that bullshit, you exhaust the man of all his resources.
So what I'm saying though is there is a healthy way, and it is important to expose your body in healthy ways for people to understand at a young age what the human body is. And so as far as exposing yourself goes, like spreading your butt open and stuff like that, like on OnlyFans, I get that, that's, I just want to be careful with saying, exposing yourself, because there's a healthy way of doing it, and there's a very unhealthy way that's over sexualizing yourself in a world that we don't want to be over sexualized, right? I want to be able to take out my breast and feed my children at lunch without men looking at my tit and being like, oh my God. Yeah. And that's sad to me that men's mindset are like that, because they're so, which is crazy though, because you see tits everywhere. You see tits everywhere. So it's like, how can you look at a tit and still be like, oh my God,
totally.
There's a titty. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy, because I feel like the more you'd see it, the more you'd chill. But I also think we are desensitizing our sexuality, and that's the danger of porn. That's the danger of sleeping around, is you get desensitized, and then it's
not as exciting anymore.
Worse and worse,
and then you can't even have that that energy or whatever, or excitement for the person that you want to be with.
And you're draining yourself.
All right, so another controversial one: does body count of women matter
in a woman?
We talked about it a little bit, but I want
for my point of view answer, for both people it matters, because you're bringing energies to the table. Both people it matters. You're bringing energies, you're bringing bacteria, you're bringing STDs.
Would you say overall in society though it's less prioritized on a man than it is a woman?
In society?
Like, say, check this out.
That's why I think women go out and fuck guys, is because they want to be equal to men. So that's why they're like, you can't tell me what to do.
In that hypothetical marriage that you spoke about with whatever wives or how many that be, you wouldn't have prioritized how many bodies that dude had because of the needs that were getting met. To where on the opposite hand, a man would prioritize that. You see what I'm saying? So in your hypothetical
what you're saying is, if I had slept around with a bunch of dudes, or if I had taken the gigs with Playboy and slept with those guys at the mansions and did all that, you're saying you wouldn't have been with me. Is that to my understanding?
On camera. I don't know.
What do you mean?
You're already married.
I don't know.
No, I know, but I didn't do that. So that's a hypothetical. If I did do that, but I'm still me. And I still did all the work I did and the research, but I made a mistake along my journey.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying with...
what would you do?
I'm going to be 100% honest in saying I don't know.
See, that to me is fucked up, because...
But I wouldn't have...
I've worked on so much and healed with so much shit that you've done.
But I wouldn't have... I wouldn't have created that relationship with you, kind of is what I'm saying. Yeah. So... I just don't know if I would have, like I said, actually gone down that hole and creating that relationship and creating that energy and creating what we have based on that. I would have. It's like I always say this to people now that I know what I know is like, he who does not sin can cast the first stone, right? So before I was like super judgmental, like, oh, you're a fucking whore, you're this, you're that, whatever. But then I was with these chicks, so it's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, does it matter to you?
It would just be about growth at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
where are you now?
Would it matter to you if a girl slept around before you?
That's what I asked them.
No, I know. That's what I'm trying. Yeah.
So
Like Lacey, I guess.
It's basically it's like a present situation. So
if it was Lacey,
who are you as who are
individual
you now
right now? Yeah.
Who are you now? Because the person that I was before, the mistakes that I've made, like
you wouldn't want to be judged on those.
Yeah, I've cheated on people before in my youth. I would never,
I see,
ever,
yeah.
ever
You wouldn't
do
want
that
her
now.
to judge you on that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying though. As a woman,
and that's not me.
If I wasn't doing that, but I had done that,
Mhm.
like you didn't know me when I had those opportunities, but if I took them and then my life went a different route and I learned things maybe harder, the harder way, you know, but I was still who I was when you met me, would that really change things?
I don't know if I would have got to know you on that level, because I might have judged you too hardly because of the place that I was in, the toxicity that I was in. Like,
and I think that's kind of fucked up as a society, because
totally.
the energies are very real, whether it's a guy fucking or a girl fucking. Like, you carry energies, you carry STDs. I mean, if your standpoint was correct, men couldn't get STDs.
I agree.
If your standpoint
was
correct,
you're saying that it's like if it was like spiritually correct, then we would be invisible to all these things.
If it was like, like anatomically, if it was like this nature, like guys can fuck whoever and it shouldn't matter,
then you wouldn't get all this bullshit.
Why do we get the same shit? Like, why does?
No, I agree.
To me, it doesn't make sense. Like what you're saying.
I just think the argument with modern society is the choice, basically. So it's like, if a guy has, I use this stupid analogy. It's like when LeBron goes to the employee store in Beaverton, and people know he's going to be there. People are lining up around the block waiting for him, days camping outside. And you have, Joe Schmo that sits at the end of the bench from the Blazers. Like, people aren't coming. Like, people aren't willing to go through that. So when a man in this day and age and can give more resources, he has more choices. Women are willing to put up with more. So that's why I think,
I mean, you didn't have shit when I knew you.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how the fuck I got so lucky, bro. It's literally what I'm saying. I think it's because of my fucking hair. It's on my hair.
I mean, and this is to women. And women will date on potential, which, don't do that, because
that's what I'm saying. Get your shit together. Get your shit together
first. Every single person on the planet has potential to be a great person or to be a shit person, and that potential never changes. And that's also not up for us to decide the value. So
yeah, I always say that your value is never based upon your current
circumstances. If I wasn't, here's what it is. Like,
this is hard. It's hard. It's a hard fucking topic. I mean, it is. I don't know, for some reason, as a man's wiring, we value that purity. Like, I think, and I don't know why. I think it's because of this ownership aspect of what you talked about. Like, I want this car because no one else has it. I want to do this trick because no one else has it. It's the reason that men chase after merits.
What is a high valuable woman though? Like, what's a high valued woman? Like, why don't we define that? Because if you think that I'm a high valued woman,
you haven't been ran through, which is 100% true.
Okay, so if I'm a high valued woman,
you value raising children, which is 100% true. That's what high value is to me. You're helping me with my legacy. That's the high value to me.
You don't think a woman has her own legacy?
I do, but I think it's a part of the duality.
Yeah, I don't think there needs to necessarily. I mean, I think a woman can never marry in her life and never have children and have the same value.
I agree.
So to me, don't you feel like it would have been super shitty knowing the man that you are internally to, if I would have just been like, wrote you off because all the shit you did?
And I wouldn't have hated you for that.
Really?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I mean, I thank God you didn't, and I thank God I'm the person that I am, but I wouldn't have hated you for that.
So do you feel like everybody deserves that type of like,
because you've given me that grace? Yeah,
I mean,
but
like,
I just
wouldn't
I said, I just think that we have
wouldn't you
choices.
Understand best because you were given that grace?
Yes, but I just feel like within the choice, what I would choose. I'm not saying I couldn't forgive somebody, but I just wouldn't choose that for my life.
But here's what it is, because I'm a high value woman, and because I didn't sleep around. Here's what it is: we had shit we had to work on. If you would have ended up with somebody who's doing the shit that you did, there would have been a mutual understanding there. There probably wouldn't have been all this grief that we've had to go through.
That's fair. I agree with that.
Again, it like comes down to circumstance, like depending on the person. Because for me, like, obviously I want, if it were my choice, I'd be like, okay, I want the most pure woman I could possibly find. That's a bonus to me.
Yeah.
But if I were to find a woman who did, fuck up in some way or slept around or something like that. But I see the amount of growth that someone does. That is extremely attractive. So what is your stance on
What's
purity versus growth? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like,
what about a girl that was ran through or had sexual trauma, or who can't tell you about that because she feels like now she's not pure because she knows this mindset of guys and she was raped or she was this. Like, would you view that girl differently? Because there's a lot of girls out there who wouldn't even share that trauma with you because they believe you think, you need purity, and because they've been abused in some way, they're not pure anymore. So like how far does that go with purity? You know what I'm saying? Like, I
totally agree. I fully agree.
I think, honestly, sorry to keep interrupting, but something that is most attractive to me more so is
the growth.
Is perspective. Is getting
so wouldn't an older woman be sexier then? Because her amount of perspective is going to be a lot different than a young woman.
According to like my position and where I'm at, mentally, realistically, because you have the physical person in front of you, no matter how hot, how beautiful, how shaped she is, like she is what she is. It's the mind after that. Yeah. And so I'm more attracted to,
because the physical always goes away.
Yeah, because you can always masturbate with a body. Yeah. It's a lot different than having a mental connection.
The body is a meat sack,
exactly.
At the end of the day. So totally. I look at things like, I see people's minds. I see that they may have almost committed suicide and found a reason to live. And now that makes me more, I can draw more from, I could draw more.
There's depth. Yeah. There's depth. Can draw more, and depth is what all the relationship is built on.
I can draw more depth from that person than I can from someone who's pure, who has never been ran through, that has played it safe in life. Totally. And maybe working on themselves and may do all this stuff. But I personally respect someone who has fucked up, who has went off the deep end, who has went to the dark side and come back and understood why they don't want to go there anymore. And that will lead you forward. If you have someone who is pure throughout their life and never touched the darkness, then when temptation comes, when hard times come throughout life, when stagnant, repetitive things start coming,
and so there's a lot of
curious.
So what I would argue with your standpoint on that is, I think you're describing the masculine journey.
Well, you don't think that women go?
I'm not saying that. But I'm not saying that. But I think I would argue that if we had stronger men as a whole, right, in society, that women are supposed to remain pure, because I think the adversity in all the darkness is what makes women masculine. Yeah, because essentially,
what are you protecting women from?
That's what I'm saying. Men. But that's what makes women masculine. Is you described to me perfectly the masculine journey. Yeah. I don't think that's for a woman to go on. But that's why I'm saying, I have told people that you've been through shit that I don't think a woman should ever have to go through. And you've been through shit that I believe that adversity a man should only see.
But here's the difference between me and the girls that indulged in what they're indulging in, is I was at a spiritual warfare and I went to the dark side at a young age and did that work at a young age. So a lot of the times people don't do this shit until now. Yeah, no, so that's the only difference between me and that girl, and that's what you have to understand is like.
But I think what I would also argue too, and I know we're gonna keep going and we're gonna shut it down here, but do you think indulging in those things, if we could understand I don't want to be careful.
It can be an act of rebellion.
Yes, but if we can understand, I don't want to use the word roles, but I don't want to keep thinking because I don't want to take too long. Can we understand that maybe the darkness comes from indulging in that? So if a woman is taking multiple bodies and taking on multiple energies and doing all these things, that's what creates this darkness. Like, you're letting the
1,000%, but people don't know what they don't know.
You're letting the devil in, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. But a lot of the times, a lot of the times, like, so the darkness, like, I mean, people know what they know. You know, everyone's journey is so different. So, like, to me, like going to, when you shed light on something, that's like taking it out of the darkness, right? But a lot of people are scared to go there because they feel they're going to get trapped in the darkness. Totally. But when you shed light on it, that's when it starts to literally come out of your body instead of manifesting inside of you and inside your spirit. So to me, a lot of these women have been consumed at one point or another. And as an act of rebellion to try to get some empowerment or gain some empowerment or gain themselves back, they, as an act of rebellion, they're like, well, here's my body, you can't tell me shit. And so at some point you have to have a little bit of respect for why they're doing that from what they've gone through.
Totally.
But is it the right thing? Is it what's going to heal them? No. No. But they're, you know, that's the whole, like, you know, that's like telling okay, here's the thing, right? I don't remember who said this to me. I wish I could give them credit. I feel like it was Dr. Kara. But yeah, I think it's Dr. Kara. This is like stupid that people think that everyone should learn at the same time. If you and I are sitting at the dinner table and you finish before me, like, nobody's like, oh my God, happens. What the fuck? Like, who, like, I can't believe you finished before me. Like, to expect everyone to learn at the same time is silly.
I agree.
And like, you can't look at it like, some of these people are walking around and they still have the emotional intelligence of when they were 7. So nobody looks at a 7-year-old or like a 2-year-old when they start doing something. You're like, you're a dumb fuck. Like, that is just so in itself harsh. And I'm not saying that I agree with these actions or that they're going to get where they want to be with these actions, but I'm saying to take it into a stance of inconsiderating and not consider, being inconsiderate and not considerating where it's coming from is just naive in itself. Like, you're not going to get anywhere but chasing circles, trying to get women to stay, you know, pure when they've already been fucked with. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, men need to take the responsibility. When you say you're protecting women from who? From other men. So I think the penalty of rape should be a lot more harsh. I don't think people take that shit serious at all. I think women need to be taught how to actually take care of their bodies and not have to be on birth control, not have to have abortions. Like, they need to actually be able to be given true empowerment of how their bodies work and how to protect themselves and how their bodies are a literal portal to creating human life. And men need to be taught how their seed is important and how to respect women.
You fix the problems with generally what you see in religions.
If you make men more safe, like, and truly in their masculine, they're safe men, women would not be where.
I would disagree, but anyways.
What?
Yeah,
you think that
I think chicks are still going to be out here doing stuff. It's just regardless. Men are there's still going to be toxicity regardless.
No, no, we're not going to have just peace in the world. No, exactly. No. But I'm just talking for individuals. If they want change, that's where to look at. I'm not saying that, no, there's never going to be fucking peace in the world. That's an unrealistic expectation.
All right. So that was lit. We're going to round it out. First,
quit saying round it out.
I'm trying. Well, shit, you keep talking.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. It's hard. It's a very, very full packed like topic and like
there's a lot of shit to say.
There's a lot of shit to say. So we can do another episode is what we should do. We can do spiritual couple talks about red pill with dope ass camera guy.
We can talk about sex. We can talk about the bodies. We can talk about life and how it's created. We can
if you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. Share with a friend that needs to hear. We got this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we will catch you guys in the next one.